Thanks for joining us for a special edition Cup of Kudos, Family Matters. If you or a loved one is struggling with depression, this is a video for you.
Hey Kudos crew, Ilse Lujan Hayes here with Shantae Walker. Tell people first of all, your credentials.
Okay, Shantae Walker. I'm a licensed professional counselor with Reconnect My Life Counseling, and also I am a media contributor. So I talk about family, life, relationships.
And that's important because one of the things that I'm doing for Kudos is we're talking about family matters, and I wanted to first address depression because, see, I said I wasn't going to cry, and my hand is shaking because, I'm also not going to worry about how long this video is because I know that there might be someone out there who is watching the video and I have no idea where they are emotionally, mentally, physically, but they need to hear this information that you're going to share. So I've battled with depression my entire life, but didn't know it. I thought it was normal to be so sad and blue that you feel like you're alone.
Right.
And that the world is against you.
There are a lot of people that suffer with depression silently. It's just a part of their DNA where they feel like this is part of my personality. I feel sad. I'm withdrawn from the world. And this is just who I am, not realizing that they're suffering with depression. And it doesn't have to be permanent.
I read an article once called The Smiling Depression. Tell people a little bit about what that is.
The smiling depression is when you have this mask. Most of us have these masks that we wear when we're out in the world because, one, we don't want to be vulnerable and allow others to see how we're truly feeling. And the other part is that we have these walls that we build up around us because we've been hurt in the past. So we don't want to share, so we wear the mask. The smiling depression is that you could be out amongst friends and family and you're smiling and you have this face of happiness when in the inside you're feeling just the opposite.
Yes, it's torture.
Yes.
It's actually torture because you don't want to be there.
No, you don't.
But you know that you have to function.
Exactly.
Whether it's at work or in a public setting. How you help a lot of people who deal with this. Let's talk about what can someone do when they are in this smiling depression state. What is it? Time for medication? Is it time for therapy?
Well, I always say first you want to start with therapy. You don't want to jump into medication just because it's there. The medication it's not a magic pill. It deals with the physical symptoms if you're feeling depressed, but it doesn't take away the thoughts or why the depression is there in the first place. So therapy along with medication is very important, but I would start with therapy. Being able to talk about it makes a big difference.
If you're a family member who sees a loved one that is suffering, how do you start to help them?
First of all, it's hard to see a loved one that's suffering from depression. And to be able to help them, sometimes we may feel hopeless as far as hopeless and helpless. What can I do? So the first thing you can do is just listen. Do not judge. Do not wonder, okay, you shouldn't feel like this. Never tell someone that's suffering from depression that they can get over it.
I have to share something. I made the mistake of doing that. I have a beautiful teenage daughter who also deals with depression. And I remember the way that I dealt with her was, come on, be tough. You're Lujan. That's my, maiden name. Even though I suffered from depression, I expected her to cope the way I coped, which was suck it up. You're a tough girl. You're my daughter. You can't let this beat you.
Right.
And that's how I dealt with her, and I made it worse.
You can make it worse because the way you cope with things, if you and your daughter are very unique, right? So the way you cope with something, she may cope with it very differently. And now she may feel inefficient as far as what's wrong with me because my mom is able to get through this and she's able to suck it up and I'm not. Now you have that comparison, which makes you feel even worse about yourself. So never judge, never tell someone, hey, you can get over it, because they don't feel that way. But being able to say, hey, I am here, let's talk. If you just want to express yourself, tell me how you feel, I'm here to just listen. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to be that ear for you.
And just listen.
Yeah. Sometimes you're not able to solve someone's problem in one sitting. And sometimes it's not about solving a problem. Sometimes it's more about listening to what they're going through.
Well, I know one of the things that helped me, and I know I'm being really vulnerable now because I don't talk about this publicly, is what helped me was therapy and medication. And I also know things that help me personally. Like I know before I used to exercise because it was like, ooh, I want to look a certain way.
Right.
Now I have to exercise because I know that if I don't, I might spiral. I know that I have to watch the foods that I eat.
Right.
I'm not here to like be, preach or anything, but I noticed that when I eat certain foods, they trigger me. Whether they trigger me to feel bad about myself, I don't know. And then that leads to the depression. But is it also, talk about that. Is it for someone who is in a smiling depression, that means that they're a strong person.
Yes.
Because they're able to fight and function despite
Right.
the hell, and I call it a hell they're going through. Should they start figuring out what works for them?
It's important to find out what works for you. And you mentioned being able to exercise. In therapy, we share with clients that is an intervention. Being able to exercise, do some meditation, guided imagery, yoga, do something that you enjoy. Because most of the times with depression, you're feeling sad or withdrawn. You don't want to socialize with people. You lack pleasure in things that you normally would take pleasure in. So start to do things little by little that bring you pleasure, which will make you feel the opposite and bring some type of happiness into your life. Even if it's for a moment, it brings the happiness in. And we want to create positive experiences for every negative experience that you feel.
Well, I want to end on a positive note, on a hopeful note. If you're watching this, there is hope out there. Believe me. I've been in the worst dumps that you can imagine. I have even been suicidal. And I can tell you that there is hope. There is hope for you. And hopefully this information will reach the right person.
And I just want to say before we end too, thank you for sharing your story, because with your testimony, you sharing your depression, your experience with strangers allows others to say, I'm not alone. Even if they have no one to talk to or they have not expressed it, to hear someone else say, I experienced this, I have the smiling face depression, it provides hope. So thank you for providing hope. If you didn't know you did it, you did it.
Thank
You
you.
provide hope for a lot of people out there that's dealing with it.
Thank you, Shante. I appreciate it.
You're
okay,
welcome.
guys. Until next time, hope you enjoyed this kudos clip.